how active the box turtle is. He's really looking.
Okay. All right, we're ready. Well, welcome everybody to our April program. We're real happy to have you here. We're Charlotte Wildlife Stewards, chapter of the North Carolina Wildlife Federation. We have 17 chapters across the state, and we can all focus on things that are in our area. You know, some of us do some of the same things, some of us do different things just because, you know, down at the coast, they might do a beach cleanup. We might do a creek cleanup here or something like that. But anyway, we're glad you're here. How many of y'all found out about us through the North Carolina Wildlife Federation website? Okay. How about through our newsletter or social media website? Okay. Well, if you signed up back there, put your email. We'll make sure you're getting our email also. So you can also find us if you're on social media on Facebook and Instagram, and we have a new YouTube channel. We have a video on there that's about vultures that one of our team leaders made, and she's working on. Do you remember what?
I don't remember what she said her next.
She's working on another one. So anyway, so it's there, and then also we got moved over a bunch of things that were our videos, but they were on a different YouTube channel. Those have all been moved over too. So you can check that out.
Do we just search for Charlotte Wildlife Stewards?
Charlotte Wildlife Stewards on YouTube, yeah. So our mission is to create, protect, and preserve wildlife habitat through education, engagement, and enjoyment. And a lot of times those three things, those three E's happen all at the same time. So one of the things that we do and we teach people to do and encourage them to do, and this is something you can do, whether you have a balcony, whether you have a patio or a big yard or lots of acres, and that's to support wildlife. In Charlotte, we're losing more and more habitat, and so it's even more important that we use our yards to support wildlife. So our book back there, so our raffle is for Nature's Best Home. Doug Tallamy also wrote a book called Bringing Nature Home, and that's exactly what he talks about. Is you don't have to go out to a park to find it. You can have it right in your backyard. And so anyway, if y'all haven't heard of Doug Tallamy, he's an entomologist at the University of Delaware, and he got on all this when probably 25 years ago, he and his wife moved out what used to be old farmland, and what they noticed was there was just no activity around all the shrubbery and stuff that was there when they looked into it. It was a lot of autumn olive, which is a really bad guy, and some other non-natives. So they started planting some things that were more native, and that's where they saw insects and birds and whatever. And over those 20 years, he said it was mostly his wife that got rid of that autumn olive. And then he planted some acorns, and those are now, you know, kind of nice, big, grown up to be big oak trees. But anyway, in order to do this, you just have to provide everything that we need to: food, water, shelter from the elements and danger, and places to raise their family. The National Wildlife Federation has this certification program, so if you meet that criteria, then you can certify your yard as a wildlife habitat. You can get a sign to put in your yard, so all your neighbors will see, and then you can talk about it. North Carolina Wildlife Federation has the Butterfly Highway program, and this is to promote pollinator habitat. And again, it can be pots on your patio, or it can, you know, be a whole meadow. Just whatever it is that fits into your yard. You can register it for free on the NCWF website, and you can purchase one of these signs to put in your yard to also get your neighbor's interest.
The butterflies see the sign and they know
Yeah.
Yes, and then they see the neighbor has it, so they will get you. Without the sign, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Just like deer crossing signs.
Yeah, that's right. That's where the deer go across the road. That's right. That's right. And there are over, I think there are about 3,000 now in North Carolina. And on the NCWF website, there's a map, and it has them all plotted where they are. So if you are on the map, you can enlarge it and find where you are. So another thing that our chapter does, and this is part of the engagement thing, and it does turn out to be fun and educational, different conservation projects that we do. This was an invasive removal that volunteers with NCWF, and I was there at James Boyce Park. If you live in this area, you might know where that is. It's full of autumn olive. So we took out about 2 acres, and then we looked up and there was still more there. But it's this is an ongoing project of a guy named Bruce Chapman. He's out there at least once a month with volunteers, and they're just chipping away at it. This is a creek cleanup on Briar Creek. We participate in Creek Week with stormwater, and this was at Briar Creek in Chantilly, and we got 476 pounds out of the creek that day, which is amazing. Pollinator habitat planting, tree planting, those are all conservation things, and there are lots of opportunities in town to get involved with that, meet other nature nerdy people. We have fun doing that. And if you want to support conservation, you can do it by volunteering with us. If you're getting our newsletter and see us on social media, you'll see opportunities for that, or with NCWF or any of the other conservation organizations in Charlotte. You can join our chapter. You can donate to us. We are a 501(c) nonprofit and run totally off donations. And also, just in your own yard, practice sustainability. This is my my compost. I go around and get leaves from my neighbors that get rid of them and compost the leaves. I'm a lazy composter. I put the leaves in and I put kitchen scraps in, kind of mix them up. It takes about a year, but it works. And then we have some things coming up. We are participating in Charlotte Earth Day. This is being put on by Omimio Theater. They've done it the past few years, but this one's going to be at the Independent Picture House. And there will be some environmental type films, several films shown throughout the day. You could go to their website if you want to get more details, see the schedule of events for that day. So we'll be there Saturday. And then on April 27th, on a Sunday afternoon, we're going to participate in the City Nature Challenge and do a bio blitz. And this nature challenge started between San Francisco and LA. They were using the iNaturalist app. How many of y'all came to our iNaturalist program? Hope y'all have it on your phone, and if you don't, you need to get it. So anyway, so they were competing. Well, now it's worldwide, not just countrywide, it's worldwide. So Charlotte has participated in this for several years, and then we're just going to put together, it's from, I think it's the 25th through the 28th. So pictures taken then and uploaded to iNaturalist all count. But we're going to just have a fun thing, get a bunch of people together at Eastway Regional Rec Center and just kind of go around there and have fun. So we'd love to have you join us for that, and there is a registration for that on our website and our social media. And then we have one more of these programs for this programming year, and this will be on Backyard Conservation with Allison Chanel. She is with the Mecklenburg County Soil and Water Conservation District. So she will be right here, and she will be doing her program then. And then one thing I want to highlight for y'all is our annual fundraiser. This is Wild on the Water. It's a whole lot of fun. It's we go out and we paddle on Mountain Island Lake at Atlanta Nature Preserve. We have a naturalist that guides us out and talks about the ospreys. We actually go out to an osprey platform, and we've always seen them. They're always around. And talks about the other wildlife that's there, water quality, that sort of thing. We paddle back, we have lunch, and then we have a raffle with some fun things. So Katie's put something in the raffle, which is, you want to tell them what you put in?
Yes, I'm raffling off a tour of our Tortoise sanctuary and educational talk as well. And we also have one of the prizes is a bicycle, right?
Yeah, so our grand prize, Bike Source has donated a bike. So that'll be kind of cool. And but if you're a woman, and I don't know if it's gonna be a men's or a woman's bike, but if you get one that either doesn't fit or isn't the right, you can swap it out. So that'll work. We also have a Squirrel Buster bird feeder. which is a really nice item. We're getting lots of gift baskets and gift cards from local businesses.
Your chances of winning something are very high if you show up. But you have to show up for your chances to be high.
We usually have like 20.
We'll have more raffle things than we have people.
Yeah, we have a lot. So anyway, it's $75 to paddle. But just told you about everything that you get, and everybody gets one free raffle ticket. You can purchase additional raffle tickets, and then you get to be around all of us fun nature people. So anyway, there is a flyer back there with a QR code if you want to go ahead and snap that and look at it and see if that's something you want to do and sign up. We do have we have a couple canoes and a couple kayaks left that are up for grabs. If you have your own canoe or kayak or paddleboard, you're welcome to bring that. And now we're gonna turn it over to Katie Carpenter of Unsheltered Turtle Rescue. And Katie, I'm gonna let you drive and do your introduction.
All right. That sounds lovely.
Katie, Kevin Bacon's very active over here.
Thanks, Mom.
She invited me.
Yes, I did. I did that to myself.
Thank you.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, y'all.
This is the way it usually goes for me when I give a talk too, so that's all.
So you're used to it, is what you're saying. Wonderful. Well, we're recording it as well, so then I was like, shoot, if I extend my display, is it going to catch which one? So we're just going to roll with this, and I'm not going to know what slide is next, so here we are. So I'm Katie. Thank you all for coming to my I Like Turtles talk, because it is turtle time. All right, so who am I? We're going to take it back to, I think that's 1987, Dad? Photo? I wouldn't have been 86, but 87. All right, so who am I? Well, I am a dad joke lover, and I'm also an animal enthusiast. This is me with my older brother back when I was itty bitty, and I always loved dogs, animals, you name it. You're welcome, Mom. I threw some stuff in here.
I didn't see that.
So I moved to the Lake Norman area in 2014 and forced Mom and Dad to move down here about 2 years ago as well. I'm a registered veterinary technician since 2006, as well as a certified wildlife and reptile rehabber here in North Carolina, and I primarily focus on box turtles. Although every once in a while I'll get a call for something else, and if the mood strikes me, I may take it in. I also CrossFit. I have an autoimmune disease, so if you want to talk Crohn's disease, health, nutrition, any of those things, offline, happy to chat about those as well. And in my free time and spare time, I also am a full-time regional operations director of 20 animal hospitals. And I'm the executive director of Unsheltered Tortoise and Turtle, which is a nonprofit in Huntersville. And we are expanding the sanctuary. Right now it is pretty small, but we are expanding it to a 4.5-acre area, and it's not too far from Latta Nature Preserve, so we'll eventually have trails there, and we'll be open to the public in about a year or so, but we can do private tours for now. So, how did I get started in tortoises and turtles? You probably saw Creed up here, who is obviously not a box turtle. How did he show up? So, about 4 or 5 years ago, my significant other, John, and I went down to Arizona, and while we were there on our trip, I said, can we go to a wildlife sanctuary? I found this really cool one. So we went, and they had tigers, leopards, foxes, wolves, you name it, bears, right? They had all these massive mammals in large enclosures, and you walked into one enclosure area, enclosures on both sides, and in the middle, here comes Goliath. And Goliath is about a 150-pound African sulcata And the woman that was giving us our tour said that he was dropped off when he was small, and an owner didn't want to take care of him anymore. Now, African sulcatas are obviously raised in captivity and are pets in the United States, not wildlife. They're wildlife out in Africa. So this is a wildlife sanctuary, and they're like, we deal with just mammals, and now we have this reptile. They decided to keep him. He's on their website. I was putting this presentation together, and I said, I can't talk about all of this without talking about Goliath. So when they were telling us about him, they were explaining that this species is very easy to breed in captivity, and they have large clutches, so anywhere from 80 to 100 eggs. These are big guys. These guys are anywhere between, as when they're full, mature adults, they get to be about 150 to 200 pounds. So, insert any human being going into a pet store or going into Repticon. Has anybody been to Repticon? Ooh, yeah, you should go. That's a really fun experience. Anyway, so you go to Repticon and there's all these vendors and they have these itty bitty tortoises. And you're nodding your head, so you know they're $80, $100, and the people go, it won't get very, very big. It'll grow to the size of its enclosure. That's like saying, here's a puppy. Keep it in a small crate. It'll grow to the size of its enclosure. That's not a thing, guys. That's not true. So, a couple years later, they're the size of Creed, and they're going, what the heck do I do with these things? So, as they were explaining all this to us, they said, there's so many, and this is one of the most common species that gets turned over to wildlife rehabbers, that gets turned over to reptile rescues, dropped off at pounds, or just released into the wild. And these guys back at our sanctuary, the larger guy, I've got an even bigger one, he's about this big, but I wasn't gonna bring him out tonight, he's a little heavy. They have heated dog houses because they have to be warm, they have to stay about above 60 degrees for the most part. So you can imagine somebody releases them into the wild, they're not gonna make it. They're not gonna they can't fend for themselves, and they will eventually die. So that sparked my love and interest and deep dive into where we are today. So thank you for listening to Goliath, and please don't get an African sulcata. Please don't. I know you were wondering what happened to that puppy and that cute little girl. Well, she grew up a little bit. She had a nice bowl cut for many years, then she had a mullet, and now she's got this going on, so here we are. And I went to Africa a few years ago, and the sulcata is the third largest tortoise species in the world. Third to the Galapagos is number one, and then the second is the Aldabra, which looks pretty similar to a Galapagos tortoise. And on the island of Zanzibar, on Prison Island, they apparently have a ton of Aldabra tortoises. I had no idea, and so when I arrived, you can imagine my excitement. So I had to throw that in there. So anyway, we're going to talk about, what do you guys think? What is the state reptile of North Carolina?
Box turtles.
Great job, the box turtle. Which one specifically? The eastern box turtle, yes. Y'all didn't know this was going to be incredibly interactive, and we will be having trivia at the end, so please pay attention. So exactly, the eastern box turtle. So there are 4 recognized species of box turtles, and 2 of these species are found in the United States. So the eastern box turtle is under the common box turtle. So there's the eastern box turtle, the 3-toed box turtle, and the Gulf Coast box turtle. Those are all found in the United States, as well as the ornate. The eastern box turtle, you can see their native range is the eastern side of the United States. Isn't that convenient?
You're gonna be sorry you asked me to come. Is this the female?
Well, Mother, what do you think?
Well, it's.
How do you identify
Right
one?
on.
It's pretty, you gotta look at its
No,
shell.
that's the male.
Right up.
It's indented,
Yes, good job.
but it looks just like that. Is that this one?
No.
But she's so pretty.
He.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Thanks, Mom. She didn't know she was going to get roped into turtles and tortoises when she moved down here. So, turtle or tortoise, what is it and how do you determine what they are? So, not all turtles are tortoises, but all tortoises are turtles. And I really love this diagram found on Google to explain. And so as you look at a turtle here, a turtle typically has a flipper, typically has, I bought these off of Amazon so I could show them in this presentation, and well, they're much smaller than I was anticipating, so everybody lean in and squint. So those aren't going to do it for us, but they typically have a flat shell, and they are found in the water and eat both plants and animals. And your tortoise, which is sulcata over there, have really thick, it says chonky feet. Elephant-like feet is another way to describe it. And they have a domed shell and live mainly on land. And they love vegetables. Vegetables are life for them. And you're going to say, but Katie, you're calling them box turtles, and if I look at this diagram here, I would consider them a
Tortoise.
They're not a tortoise. You guys are all wrong. They're turtles. But why? And that's what I said. I was like, wait a minute, how is this possible? So, box turtles actually have slightly webbed feet, and they do have a love for water and a relationship with water, especially the babies. You'll find a lot of the babies near streams, lakes. They like to get into the water. They love it for protection. And if you are raising them in captivity, a lot of breeders have found that if they keep them and raise them in small, shallow dishes of water with some areas for them to get out, they spend the majority of their time in the water, interestingly enough. So they have slightly webbed feet, but they do have that domed shell, which is typical of tortoises. However, there's a pancake tortoise that is native to Africa, and they are pretty flat, similar to a sea turtle. So there's a little bit of confusion, but if you call everything a turtle, you are actually correct. So why are they called box turtles? Donna, why are they called box turtles? I know you know the answer.
Because their plastron is hinged, and they can close it up.
They can completely close. They are the only turtle that can completely close and go into their shell. And when they do, where's Kevin? Mom, where are you? You're supposed to be doing this.
Oh, you didn't give me the other one.
She does one out. She was like, I am done. So if you check out Kevin, you will have noticed her name's Kevin Bacon. She's missing a foot. Oh. Footloose. You guys did see I'm a dad joke lover, right? Yeah, I'm here. I'll be here for the next hour or so. So you will see that Kevin is missing a foot on her front right foot. She did not tell me why or what happened. But one of our assumptions that we can make is when they get scared, when they get hit by a car, when they see something that is coming at them and they get scared, they retract in and close up their shell as fast as possible. Sometimes they don't close it fast. They don't pull their legs in fast enough, and they will amputate their leg. So I assume that's what happened to her. You'll also see that is very common when you find wild box turtles, that they tend to be missing a toe or two, and that's usually from a predator getting them, or as they've closed up in their shell that they've caught themselves. But
So the closing is strong enough to cut off a foot?
yes, it is, yes. And so when you're rehabbing these guys, you actually have to, you don't have to rehab them. When I rehab them, I actually have to be very careful as I'm working with them, and I use wine bottle stoppers, and I'll put them between here to hold it as I'm looking at or examining something, because if you do get your finger in there, when they close up, you're going to be hanging out there for a while, and you're going to be making that face. Yep, but yes, it is fast enough.
How long do they stay closed? How long do they stay closed?
As long as they have to.
So they keep their fingers in there.
Oh yeah.
Like
You might be hanging out. You might be hanging out with that box turtle for a few hours. Yeah, you're taking it out to the bar to have your drink, and hopefully it'll release. Yeah. Pretty neat, huh?
How many times has that happened to you?
0 as of now, but now that I said that, next time I see you, I will tell you the story about how I caught my finger after I told you guys that I hadn't done that yet. I found this as I was presenting, getting ready for this presentation, and I thought he was pretty cute. So I put this up here because, hopefully the next, yes, I did it. All right. A box turtle's shell, and all turtles and tortoises, their shell is part of their body. So they are not like hermit crabs. They cannot leave their shell and find a larger shell and go hang out in it. It grows with them. And the bottom of their shell, remember this, we're going to be quizzing on this shortly. The bottom of their shell is called the plastron, and the top of their shell is called the carapace. And you can see here that their spine is is bone and it is connected on the inside and the top of the shell. The shell is made out of bone as well, and on top of the shell, what you see on the outside, does anybody know what that substance is? Say it louder for the whole room to hear.
Keratin?
Keratin. Does anyone know where you have keratin on your body? Your fingernails and where else? Your hair, yes, yep. And they can feel the outside of their shell. So if you scratch them, give them some scritches, touch them, they can feel that. So when they get injured, if you see a crack on their shell, Kevin is sticking her head up and just like checking out to see what is going on. So yes, they can feel all of that. So please don't hurt them. They're all one piece. And what's neat about them is their shell can develop poorly if they do not have the right diet, if they do not get enough sunlight, if they do not get the right nutrients. So it is very common in the African sulcata to have what's called pyramiding. So instead of this round dome shape like you see on Creed, that they end up with pyramids on their shell instead. And I can show you some photos of our other tortoise that we had back at the sanctuary who did not grow up as bougie as Creed, and he has a whole bunch of those pyramids. The pyramids cannot be reversed. They can only be preserved, basically, to keep it from continuing to happen, but you cannot reverse it. And in some cases, it's so bad that it causes internal organ damage as the turtle starts to grow and their shell's not growing. Their insides will grow too big for their shells. So, all very important. If you do decide to get a reptile, do your research on how to help them grow properly. How do turtles breathe? Take a deep breath. Let it all out. What is moving your lungs and allowing air in and out of your body?
Diaphragm.
Your diaphragm. Guess what?
You don't have that.
They don't have that. Turtles do not have a diaphragm. So check out the inside of their bodies here, turtles and tortoises. Their lungs are all here, and as they move their arms and legs, all of their legs, in and out of their body, that's what helps to open and close their lungs and help them breathe. And when they pull everything in, you can see that they have to crunch up their lungs to make that happen. Box turtles are designed pretty cool. They can pull everything in and they still have room to continue to breathe. When they are in there and they're closed up, they are breathing much more shallow and much slower than when they are moving. But because of that, they should not be upside down for too long. So check it out, they don't have a diaphragm. Look at all their organs and everything hanging out here. So if they are upside down, their lungs end up here, and all of their organs are laying on top of their lungs. And eventually, if they stay there too long, they will suffocate and die. And what's neat though, is they can flip themselves if they are strong enough, which most of them are. They can extend their necks out, they can extend their legs, and they will be able to flip themselves completely back over. But if you look at Creed, he's probably not flipping himself back over. And if you look at Thor, our big guy at the sanctuary, he would not be able to. He physically is incapable of extending his legs enough and with his shell pyramiding to flip himself back over. So if he ever did get flipped over, one of us would have to help him. So, interestingly enough, I got a call 2 years ago for a box turtle that got hit by a car, and there was a whole lot of abrasion on the bottom of his shell. So the person who found him was taking some photos and sent him to me. I always ask people to send photos of whatever the thing is that's injured before they bring it to me. Sometimes it's a snapping turtle, sometimes it's an aquatic turtle, sometimes it's a pet turtle. So I always ask for photos first, and sometimes it's not injured at all and I can tell them, hey, you're good, go ahead and just release it. And in this case, she took a photo of the underbelly, and it was in a box in her car. And I thought, I don't know if she knows he can't hang out upside down. So I made sure to text her and tell her, hey, once you're done taking the photos, please flip them back over. And when I met her, she said, oh my goodness, I was about to drive 20 minutes to you with that turtle on his back, thinking that that was the right thing to do because he had all those abrasions on the bottom of his shell. So, turtles, should they be upside down?
No.
Great, you guys are good at learning. So, what do box turtles eat? they are omnivores, so they'll eat almost just about anything: berries, insects, roots, flowers, eggs, amphibians. They also really like mushrooms. They love berries, so I was picking, we have a wild raspberry patch right next to our house, and I was picking some last summer, and I looked down, and there was a wild box turtle hanging out, and man, was his entire beak just bright red, and he just had the best time. And then we found a copperhead shortly after, but we won't talk about that. Our younger turtles tend to lean more carnivore than the adults, and like I said, they hang out a lot in the ponds and the streams and hunt for food. These guys will also eat essentially roadkill, something that's already died. They love a good, they're obviously not going to go catch a squirrel or a mouse, but if they happen upon one that was already dead, they're opportunistic and they'll go check it out and most likely eat it, including the tortoises as well, which is super bizarre. So for some sizes for our box turtles, our hatchlings start out about 1 inch or so. Our males get to be about 6 inches and our females 8 inches. Anybody have any idea why our females get larger than our males? Say it louder for the whole room.
So they can hold their eggs.
So they can hold the eggs, absolutely. And so if you check out the two that are over there, you'll see that Kevin Bacon is significantly larger than Brussels sprout. We call him Bruh for short. So reptiles, box turtles are reptiles, and reptiles are ectothermic or ectotherms. So they don't generate their own body heat like us mammals do, and they rely on their environment. When they will move to warmer or cooler temperatures based on their needs, and they'll need to be warm to move around and eat. So if it gets too cold, what happens when the temperature drops below 40 degrees here in North Carolina with box turtles? Anybody know?
They brumate.
They brumate. What the heck is brumate? It's kind of like hibernation. It's the term for reptiles. It's the hibernation term for reptiles. And so mammals hibernate and reptiles brumate. So you can hit your friends this weekend at the bar with some fun turtle facts. So yes, they will take a winter snooze. So when the temperatures decrease, turtles will slow down. And typically from about November to the end of March, this is what happens in North Carolina. Kevin Bacon just woke up, I think 4-ish days ago. I was actually out checking on their enclosure, and I saw Brussels. He had come up a few days prior, and I was showing somebody else the enclosure, and there was Kevin Bacon coming out of where she had been hanging out all winter, and she had a nice little burrow, and her head was just hanging out, and she stayed there for the entire day, was not interested in moving. She just hung out. So their metabolic rate slows down, they conserve energy by decreasing their movement. They cannot defend themselves during this period of time. If you do stumble upon one, they move. They're good, they're sleeping. And in November-ish time frame when they are about to brumate, you know how the temperature will fluctuate. It'll get a little bit warm, a little cool, a little warm, a little cool. You will see them come out, hang out, and then they'll go slumber for a few days, and then they're like, wait, maybe I should come back out. And they'll do this little dance for a little while right before they go down and stay down for the winter. They will typically go to the exact same spot or very close to the same spot every year. So if you happen to know where a wild turtle is brumating, in your yard or in your woods, more than likely if you went and checked that same spot every year, that turtle will be back there. Once they wake up, the males are ready to reproduce. So that is a male and a female, and the following day when I went out there, y'all know exactly what was happening. So, how do we identify males versus females? Does anybody know? What about our eyes? Red eyes are? Red eyes are males, typically. And our duller, more lackluster, brownish, tannish colored eyes are typically female. And how about on their plastron? There's indentation on the male. So the males typically are going to have a concave plastron so that they can hang out on top of those females. Your females are typically going to have a flatter underbelly. And then on the males have a longer, fatter tail, and our females typically have a much smaller tail. And I've got a male and a female there, so afterwards, if anyone wants to work on identifying box turtles, happy to show you. We've got some really cool reproduction facts about box turtles. So they reach sexual maturity between the age of 7 and 10 years of age. It takes a while for a box turtle to be ready to reproduce. Their lifespan in the wild is between 25 to 30 years. We'll get into that in a minute here, 40 to 50 in captivity. However, there have been known box turtles to live up to and past 100 years of age. Our female box turtles will lay between 3 and 6 eggs in the spring in a shallow nest, and it takes anywhere from 45 to 65 days for these guys to hatch. Fun fact, females do not have to mate every year. They can store the sperm for up to 4 years, and every year they can produce fertilized eggs from that stored sperm. Isn't that neat? They're like, peace out, dude, I don't need you. I'll see you, come find you in 4 years. And the sex of the eggs will determine, the sex of the eggs is determined by the temperature of the eggs. So if it is warmer where they are laid, they will be females. If it is cooler, they will be males.
Where do they lay their eggs?
So they will lay them in a shallow, soily area. So, yep, dirt. Typically it's dirt, not water.
Do they cover?
Not really wet. Sometimes they will find like near a water area, but it'll be up in the dirt where it's loose. They like the loose dirt, and they will cover that.
They cover it back up so
Yes.
you may not know it's there.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty neat to see them. They use their back feet and they hang out, and then they back their little booties up and they'll lay the eggs, and then you'll see them use their legs and keep going, and they'll cover them back up. And they're very particular about where they lay their eggs. So if they start and they're like, no, and they'll go somewhere else, and then they'll be like, oh, I don't like that spot either. So they're pretty picky about where they want to lay them. Biggest threat to box turtles. Anyone see a common theme here in these photos? Humans. We are their biggest threat. Roadways, of course, as you guys can imagine, box turtle versus car. The car pretty much always wins. Every once in a while, they will get just a quick scuff on a tire, which is sad but also wonderful for me as a rehabber, because I'm like, perfect, I can clean them up, give them some antibiotics, and they can be good to go and released in a few months typically. Excavation, new houses, new developments coming in. You can imagine, and it hurts my heart to really think about it and dive in if you really sit and think about when we build anything new. All the animals that we're just displacing them, right? Like, and it's not like, I mean, those big cat equipment comes in, and it's not like all the box turtles are like, oh, let's flee. They get crushed. And then the other thing that happens a ton is loving human beings pick them up because they don't run like squirrels, they don't run away from you like deer, and they say, oh, you're pretty cute, let me take you home. And they keep them for a while, keep them for longer than they should, put them in different places, and you're about to find out why you should not move box turtles. Anybody know why? Similar. Who said it? They have a homing instinct. Oh man, I was on the wrong slide, but we will get to it. It comes there at the end. So roadways. Yes, roadways are terrible for box turtles. If you do happen to see a box turtle crossing the road, whatever direction, if you can get to them safely, don't hurt yourself to get a box turtle, even though I know you all want to, please don't. If you can get to them safely, point them in the direction that they are going. They are trying to go there for a reason. So, if box turtle is crossing the road this way and you're like, oh, but I don't like what that looks like over there, I'm gonna take you and put you over here. Guess what box turtle does? And right back and off he goes. So take him in the direction that he's going, try to find as safe a spot as possible as you can, and release him. Do not take him because they want to go home. And you can all sing the John Denver song in your head. I did last night as I was putting the deck together for y'all. Box turtles live their entire life in an area of 2 acres or less. Like I said, they will go back and try to remain pretty much in the exact same spot. The adult turtles rely on their internal compass that they have already mapped their area. They know, hey, the kitchen's over here, that's where I get all my food and my water. Hey, it's super safe over there, that's my bedroom. Hey, there's no predators over here. They know their area, and they are going to do whatever it takes to get back to it. So, you take them home because you're like, oh, they'll be safer in my backyard. Poor Buddy the box turtle is trying to go back 10 miles, and guess what's probably in the way of your house and wherever he lives? A whole lot of roads, more than likely. So please don't relocate them as much as I know you probably want to. As you see them, they don't love it. So when I do have somebody drop off a turtle that's injured with me, I always ask them to give me the exact address or the exact latitude, longitude of where they found the turtle, so that if I can release them, I will release them right back in that same general area. And then I tell them, please avoid all roadways, and they nod their head and say, okay. So, I can't do a presentation on turtles without talking about a couple turtles in the area. Red-eared sliders I have on here, not because they are native to North Carolina, but because they are a problem in North Carolina. Is anybody familiar with how much of a problem the red-eared slider is? Oh, fantastic. I'm so excited. All right, so this is this is one of the most common water turtles that you probably saw, especially when you were kids in pet stores. They were those itty-bitty turtles. The water turtles, they usually came in those plastic aquariums with little palm trees. And the person who sold them to you said they will grow as big as their enclosure. These guys get to be pretty sizable. So in captivity, they need about 100-gallon plus tank to comfortably live. So a lot of people got them back in the day. A lot of people are still getting them, although they are now no longer sold in any stores in North Carolina. Yay! Because a lot of people would get them and they'd get to a certain size and go, what do I do with them? I don't want them anymore. That was cool. I had them for a few years, but shoot, they're going to live to be 20 or 40 years old, and I don't really want to deal with changing waters and tanks and all of that. There's a pond over there. Let me go drop them in the pond. First of all, would you ever take your dog and be like, cool, dude, you were a great spot for 5 years, but you used to be a wolf, so best of luck, buddy, here's some woods. No, you wouldn't, but people do that with turtles. And in North Carolina, they are not native, and they are in fact invasive. They will outcompete our native turtles for food and basking areas. They will also hybridize. I was not sure if there was going to be any children in the audience today. They will also mate with yellow-bellied sliders and create a hybrid slider, and they are no longer for sale in North Carolina. And if I were to receive an injured red-eared slider into my rehab facility, I am not allowed to re-release them back into North Carolina. So the turtle on the left is your yellow-bellied slider, and the turtle on the right is the red-eared slider. So they look pretty similar. You can obviously see the distinct red ear on our red-eared sliders. So now that you are armed with this information, next time you see a bunch of pond turtles basking on a log, educate all the people around you on which one's which and why one of them is good for the environment and why the other one is a big bully and taking over the pond.
And the red is on males and females?
Yes.
So you
Yep.
have that.
You will see that distinct red ear. Yeah, but you can also see, you can check out, see underneath, they have a yellowish undercarriage, just like our yellow-bellied slider, but it's that red ear that you will see that's the difference. And what's neat about water turtles, neither one of these are really great pictures. What's neat about these aquatic turtles, your females are going to have really short fingernails, front feet. Their nails are going to be pretty short, and your males, you're going to see, they almost look like they have long claws, or they just went to the salon and got their nails done. And as part of their mating ritual, when a male is excited and says, hey, female, they will bring their front feet like this on either side of her face and just wave their little fingers in front. And she's like, okay, you're good. So, if you're bored tonight on YouTube, check out red-eared sliders. It's pretty cute.
So what about the hybrids then? How do ID use their way?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You look more yellow.
I didn't research that one. I don't know. I don't know what they would look like. I would imagine there's some combination of, but I don't know that you would really be able to determine.
They reproduce.
And I don't think that they would be able to reproduce because they're a hybrid. So the other one I want to talk about is the common snapping turtle, which is common in North Carolina, and they are here. You probably have seen them. You might see lots of nods of heads. And I have lots of people ask when they see the box turtles or when they see the sulcatas, are they snapping turtles? So I wanted to bring this up so that you can see our snapping turtles are super powerful. They've got really big faces, heads. They've got really large feet. And even when they're little, their heads are still very large for their bodies. When you encounter one of these, be very careful. They are fast, their necks are very long, they will strike and they will get you. And you will lose whatever you put out in front of them. They will not just hold your finger like the box turtle's shell is going to, they will take your finger completely off. I still have all of mine, so I have not done this with a snapping turtle. If you do have to move one, the safest way is a shovel. You could get a shovel, but most of us don't carry shovels, just happen to have them in our cars. You can grab them by the back of their shell like you can see here. And if you grab them, you just grab them from the back of their shell, and you don't have to pick them up. You can keep them very low and almost wheelbarrow them so that their face stays down and forward. And just pick them up about, get their face and front legs about this far off the ground. That way, if you do need to let them go and back away, you can do that very quickly. Again, if you find them in the road, same thing, you're going to want to put them in the same direction of wherever they're going, or they'll turn around and go right back. Yes, ma'am, in the corner.
Wouldn't the bacteria on a snapping turtle be really bad?
Well, yeah, I mean, don't lick your hands.
No, that's not.
What?
I thought there was certain kinds of turtles that, was it salmonella? Was that the little red sliders when they were babies in somebody's house?
Yes, and I don't remember the whole facts around the, did you guys remember when the red-eared sliders and all the turtles could no longer be sold when they're smaller than like a coin? Do you remember all of that? That happened because some kid put the turtle in their mouth and almost choked to death. Yeah, exactly. So then they were like, you know what, we are going to ban the selling of turtles this size because that one child did the thing. Why? I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. Yeah, that's the one you found out about. That's true. So yes, they can carry salmonella. Don't lick turtles. Don't make out with them. They don't want to make out with you. Wash your hands after you do interact with them. Don't put them around your face. Just like you would if you were playing with a dog or a cat. You're not going to play with a dog and cat and then start licking your hands.
You know?
Donna will talk afterwards. You can stay after class, ma'am. All right, so help. I found an injured turtle. What do I do? Keep them safe. Put them in a box with a few holes in the lid. Be careful because most turtles can climb. So if you were checking out Kevin Bacon over here, she was trying to escape and get out of her little box. I have had people put them in their car in a box and think no problem, and then they go to get them and they can't find them because they scurried under something. Don't feed them or give them water, they're fine. Just get them to a wildlife rehabber. If you Google wildlife rehabber near me, a bunch of wildlife rehabbers will come up. And the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission does have a list of rehabbers on their site. You can type in your zip code and it'll pop up, auto-populate who's in your area. If anybody has free time and wants to start a very rewarding opportunity, we need a 911 service for wildlife. Because as it stands right now, you find something, you call this rehabber, you're going to call that rehabber, you're going to call that one, and you're going to call that one, and you're going to hope that they are in town and that they are not full. And hopefully one of them will get back to you. And what we really need here is a 911 operator who can take it and then send it out to all the people that they know and get it back and then get it to you as fast as possible. So if anyone's bored and wants to come up with a great idea like that, please, we need it. So this was fun. How do I learn more? Does anybody know who Otis the box turtle is? Oh my goodness, you guys, he is the most famous box turtle on the East Coast. All right, I think he is. So Garden State Tortoise is Chris and Casey Leone, and they're out of New Jersey, the Garden State, and they have a turtle and tortoise sanctuary. And they do a whole bunch of YouTube, social media, as well as talks, and they have a ton of educational videos that they post every single week. And they took in Otis a couple years ago from another sanctuary, and he happens to have a dog-like personality, Otis, the dog. And if you are engaging with him, he will try to bite your nose. In fact, he has bitten people's noses. He does not like other box turtles, he will attack them. And you can find his Jurassic Park remake online as well. The video including the toilet scene with cockroaches and Jenga pieces. So to quote my father, I don't know what's worse, that people make videos about turtles or that people watch videos about turtles. My father said that to myself and to John last year, the year before. But, yes, they do. And you know what? People also come to talks about turtles as well. And if a turtle loses its shell, is it naked or homeless?
It's dead.
It is dead. Guys. So, how can you help? Share your knowledge with others. Please tell others. Tell them about the box turtles. Please tell them about the red-eared sliders. And volunteer with local wildlife group. Get involved with conservation. Support thoughtful development. And maybe check out Charlotte Wildlife Stewards and come do some of our fun events that we do and sign up for While on the Water. Who's ready to test your knowledge? All right, we are going to get into groups. Yes, we are. You are a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, you're a 4, and you're a 5. You are a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, did I get you? I got you guys. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not letting you play. I got you guys. 1, 2, 3. You want to play? 4. All right. 1's up here, 2's over here, 3's in the middle, 4's here, 5's congregate in the back.
Sorry, you're good. 5.
Watch her over here.
Nice.
All right, y'all. With your group, you probably don't know anybody in your group, so let's get to know everybody in your group. So, real quick, go around your group. Tell each other who you are and why are you here tonight. Yeah, they can. So it's like, you probably see people have painted turtles before. And that can do it because it can exactly like spray paint them, sometimes they'll take nail polish. Sometimes they'll epoxy on their turtles. Yep. Like we've seen, I've seen some big cicadas that like house fires or barn fires, because a lot of people keep them out in the shed, and then there's lamps end up causing a fire in many of those walls, and I've seen them burn, and people just take a bunch of rocks. Which, yeah, because they've got a big hole in the end. All right, does everybody now know each other? All right, I'm going to need one person in your group who has the fastest fingers and their cell phone. You're going to need to get your cell phone out. One of you needs to choose. You need to be our fast fingers in the group, and you all need to pick a quick team name. Real quick, we're going to do some speed round trivia to see who remembers the most from the presentation. So once you figure out who your person is, that person just needs to scan this QR code. It's going to take you to a website. It's going to ask you to put in your team name and then tell you you are ready to get started.
Kevin May.
All right, well, looks like we have one person who has joined so far. All right, maybe it's not going to let you put a team name in. Just get ready. Waiting for presenter? You're waiting for presenter? All right, get ready. Why do you love turtles? I'm assuming you love turtles. I made a broad assumption. Type it in. Put as money as you want in. Keep going, guys. Put them in.
I guess it's all supposed to be. I just think that because I thought it was just a word. I didn't know they were all. These are all the words that you did type in.
All right, everybody has their submissions in. All right, here we go.
What got quiet then?
It did get really quiet. All right, now you need to enter your name. Should be asking you to enter your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like it. Everybody ready? All right, here we go.
So the question is going to pop up on the screen, but for whoever has the phone out, it will also be on your phone. Fastest fingers win here. True or false? Female box turtles typically have red eyes.
Just do it.
You all in? 6 didn't. We only have 5 responders. False. Nice job. You are safe. Here we go. Second question. True or false? Male box turtles are larger than females. Five responders. Somebody's not playing. There's 6?
No.
All right, there's only 5 teams?
Well, it might be.
All right.
It might be.
All right. I thought there were 6 teams. All right. I know, I'm not really sure how the groups figured themselves out, but here we are. True or false? Box turtles will die if they are upside down for too long. I need to give you guys just 5 seconds and not 10. Fact. True. True or false? If you find a turtle on the road, move them in the direction that they will go. Well done. Red-eared sliders are native to North Carolina. Good job, you guys. Y'all are crushing our quiz. I'm so proud of y'all. True or false? Snapping turtles can completely close their shells. Good job, you guys. Only box turtles. Box turtles can completely close their shells. Y'all can't get this one right. Good job, you guys. Somewhere. True or false? Humans are the biggest threat to box turtles.
Yeah. They're humans or
Yeah.
There we go. Box turtles live their whole life in a 2-acre or less area. They're crushing it. All right, final question. Here we go. Speed counts, y'all. True or false? Turtles love pizza. Cowabunga. Turtle Power knows the answer to this one. Yeah, Turtle Power. Yes. Guess what? True and false are both correct. My people who said cowabunga and they got it were like, yes, of course. My people who were like, no, of course not. You didn't say that they would eat pizza.
Yeah.
Well done, y'all. Well done.
Opportunistic feeders.
They are opportunistic. I bet if we put pizza out. Is there a question on it on your screen?
Did you learn something?
Yeah. Did you learn something new tonight?
Yes.
True. True or false?
Yes.
All right. Let's see who our winners were. Let's see. You all might have gotten 100, but speed counted. 10
And turtle power, coming in nice and slow. As you should, all right. So, let's recap our learnings very quickly. Here we go. Ready? Is everybody paying attention? All right. Diet, pizza. Defense skills, stick ninja skills. Master, splinter, teacher. Teaches turtles all they need to know. What questions do you guys have?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the box turtles, can you identify individuals by their pattern, or is their pattern on their shell unique?
It is unique, yes. Yeah, if you dive in and take a look at each individual one, they all come in different shades. As you look at the colors too, they'll be pinched in, some will be wider. They're pretty neat, but they all are slightly different.
So the shell's kind of like a fingerprint where they're all.
Yep, yes it is. Yes.
So like the adults live their whole lives in a 2-acre range.
Yep.
Do the babies tend to like scamper off somewhere else and then live their life there?
No, they'll live
Or
pretty
is-
much exactly, yeah.
So there's like multiple generations just within the same spot?
You got it, yeah. Well, in the box turtle babies are, and like most turtle babies, are subject to a whole lot of predation. So raccoons get them, skunks get them, dogs get them. I mean, box turtle babies is that big. So its chances of survival are pretty slim. So pretty neat to see these guys as adults out there when you know so many of them got eaten up very young and early.
When they're bigger, what are there predators?
That human.
Okay.
Your human is your biggest one. Raccoons do really like them, and sometimes the raccoons, if they're feeling spunky, will really try pretty hard to open them up and get in and get them. So that is a pretty big threat to them. And coyotes, foxes, dogs. Chewed by dog is a very common box turtle injury that is brought into rehab. The dogs get them, and have you ever seen a dog with like a Kong toy where they'll hold it between their paws and just go to town gnawing on it? They'll do that same with the box turtle shell and take a whole bunch of the keratin off and sometimes even rip some of the bone off.
So Katie, can you talk about a couple of the most common injuries you see and then how you repair them?
Yeah, absolutely. So most common is hit by car, hit by lawnmower, weed whacker, and then chewed by dog. Those are my most common that are coming in. So chewed by dog, iodine, clean up wherever the injuries are. I especially have to check at their hinges. So what typically happens if you take a look at their hinges, they've got a softer material there, like a little bit of muscle there. And what happens a lot with the chewed by dog is the dog will get its canine puncture in, and it'll actually go pretty deep. So you've got to make sure to flush that out with a bunch of iodine. I'll give them pain medication, I'll give them antibiotics, and then they'll hang out with me for however long it takes for their shell to heal to a place where I can re-release them.
Do you glue them back together?
So, yep, with hit by cars, hit by the lawnmower, weed whacker, if there is a shell injury, then I will, in most cases, I use a little bit of super glue on either side of wherever the shell injury is, and I'll take bra clips and put them on both sides, and then I take a very thin, small wire and pull it back together. And then where the bone is on both sides, it'll just come back together and that line will heal. Box turtles do everything. All turtles do everything very slowly. So they do take a very long time to heal. But once they're healed, I can take off all of that and then re-release them. Yeah, great question. So yeah, that's common. Shell injury is very common. And then chewed by dog. Toes, feet, and then depending on how bad it is, some of them can be released, some of them can't.
So if they do injure themselves by like not pulling in fast enough or whatever, can they still survive in the wild?
Absolutely. They are super resilient. And in a lot of cases when we see them, and again, I don't have a percentage on this, but the majority of the cases that you bring into rehab, they can self-resolve out in the wild, which is so wonderful. I mean, we exist and we can help them, so why not? But in a lot of cases, like if you take a look at Kevin Bacon's shell, I can show you guys, she has a pretty severe injury on the back of her shell, and it looks like there was a whole piece that was cracked at one point that has all come back together. I don't know if she was ever with a rehabber and that's what happened, or if
that happened, and she just was out in the woods, and it just came back together and healed.
So is your intervention more about like pain management and just keeping it from getting infected
Yeah.
and that type of thing?
And the biggest thing, especially as spring sets in, maggots. So, yeah, everybody just cringed, and I bet you all just felt like you needed to check your hair and your neck. Yeah, the biggest thing, especially in the spring when it gets warm and they get hit or injured, is maggots can get in there, and then the maggots can get everywhere. And then when they do that, and if they can get inside the body cavity, then they don't make it.
Where's your rehab place?
In Huntersville. In my bathroom. On my porch. I took in a turtle the other day, and actually my neighbor behind here in the back, Mark, he and his wife came over that night, and his wife was like, "Can I use your restroom?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Just don't mind the turtle in the shower."
She's like, I'm not gonna ask.
And she was like, "Of course, yeah, that tracks." But we're in the process of building out a sanctuary where we'll be able to have a spot where I'll be able to bring in a bunch of volunteers as well. But for now, and that's what most rehabbers do, is we just make it work. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
Turtle personality. Do they have individual, I mean, even these wild ones that you bring in?
Yeah.
I imagine you try not to interact with them too much,
Correct.
but do you see differences in their personalities?
Yes, and it's interesting. Some of them are very, very fearful, and others are like, "Hey, what's up? Who are you, and what's going on?" And so, yes, when we interact with them, I try my best to do as minimal interaction as possible, because we don't want them human-friendly. We don't want them interacting with us, because they need to be afraid of when they see and pull themselves back. Yeah. But yes, they do have personalities, and actually, since we're all sitting here, let's check out Otis. Guys, I'm telling you. There's Chris. You guys can check him out. So Otis will follow him around. Otis finds Chris and knows that that's his human. And check it out. And Chris will go to give him food, because you would assume that this is a natural feeding response. With a box turtle, if you were to go to their enclosure and they knew you, they see human, they think food, they will come up. But he'll go to try to feed him, and he's not interested. He'll go around the food, and he's super inquisitive and is just looking into, yeah. This is Chris's wife, Casey. Yep.
And so what kind of turtle is the box turtle? What, he's not Eastern?
Yeah, he's Eastern box turtle. Yeah, but look at how bright his colors are. Yeah, yeah. Like we talked about, they come in lots of different shades and a lot of different brightnesses as well.
So the box turtle, he will bite, right? But
Yes,
they don't
yeah.
hurt, or will they eat you?
Oh, he'll draw blood.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they have beaks. They don't have any teeth. They have beaks like a bird does, and that will hurt.
Does it have to worry about salmonella if the kids and your husband and all that?
Yeah, I mean, you would, as long as, again, just wash hands and, no, he's interested in the humans.
So will we ever be able to release in the wild?
No, so he was at a nature preserve for a bunch of years, and then the nature preserve had just seen how inquisitive and what a great personality he has, and said, hey, you know, he's aggressive towards other turtles, and he was attacking them, so he couldn't be in an enclosure. So at Chris and Casey's, he has his own enclosure, all set up for him.
So they found a family basically to adopt him?
Yep. Yeah, and so they actually take him, he's an ambassador for them, and they've taken him, they live in New Jersey, they drove him all the way down to Florida to a big convention down in Florida, and just like what you saw in this personality, like he was like that in this big conference room with people everywhere, and he was just like, what's going on? And that's not normal turtle behavior. Most of the time they're pretty sedate or even a little scared.
Is that because he grew up like in captivity?
And he's
so
just,
used to people
and
like
he's
that?
just a intense personality. Yeah.
She really come out of his shell.
Ah, my girl, yes. Yes. So does
never do that.
They have gizzards, or they don't, how do they masticate? They don't masticate.
They don't masticate.
So like how?
They don't. So what they'll do, he's obviously not eating, he's hanging out. Poor Creed goes to bed. He gets up around 10, 11 in the morning to come out of his doghouse, and he goes to bed around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So this is like midnight for him. He's exhausted. He's got a life. So what they do is you'll see them, they'll grab a bunch of food. So any of them, what they'll do is grab a bunch of food in their mouth, and then you'll just see them go and swallow it all whole.
So their stomachs must be.
So their stomachs just take care of it.
Serious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, great question. They don't chew.
Do raptors ever bother turtles?
Yeah.
They do?
Oh yeah.
Does everybody know what a raptor is? Like a hawk or eagle? Or...
Yeah. They will if they're hungry enough, but they also are like, that's a lot of work.
Had a lot of work.
Yeah.
So you say raccoons are like their biggest thing to look at.
Because they've got those hands. They can just figure it out. Yeah.
So are these guys yours?
Can you talk
That
about
would be
how they
released
breathe
then?
through their back end? How they breathe through their back end?
I don't know a ton about that, do you?
Not a whole lot. I think that's more when they're ruminating.
Sea turtles do it too, so that they can breathe when they're
I
swimming.
can't hear you.
Sometimes sea turtles will surface their rear instead of their face when they're swimming, if they're like looking at something on the bottom, so.
Yeah. There's some way that they can absorb the air through their back end. Yeah. It's kind of. I don't know the details, but
I don't either.
I've read about that.
I'll put that on my
That would be a good trivia question.
on my things to research.
Yeah. Katie, tell us about your turtle dreams and your 4-acre paradise that's coming. Like what's
Yeah.
how many animals are you hoping to?
Yeah, so my passion is these two species that you see here in front of us. So my plan is to have a lot of, so you can see here, this is our current space. And you'll see here, so this entire enclosure here is for our larger sulcata, and then Creed has this smaller section right here, and both of them have heated dog houses in the shed here, and they've got cameras, and they've got Wi-Fi heat that turns on and turns off. They're bougie. And they have caretakers, full-time caretakers who come out and take care of them. So my goal with the property that we secured across the street is to have, I don't know, I'd love to be able to take in 20 or 30 of these big guys. This is one of the most common, red-eared sliders and then the African sulcata are the two most common requested to be rehomed, and the two most common that most people can't take in because of their size. So the goal will be to have a bunch of these large ones, have enough space and big space. You can see how little Creed was. This was a year or two ago. And I literally had just cleaned his water, went back in to go get the camera and come out and take some of these videos. And they like to go in their water and then release their bowels.
Who doesn't?
So, real fun. Who doesn't like to do that? You're on warm water. What do you want to do?
And those, you might have mentioned this, and I might have missed it, but you can't have this particular species cannot be in enclosures together.
Yes, so you have to find the right personalities to be together. So this is Tortoise, the tortoise, Thor for short. And you can check out his shell. You see how he's got all of that pyramiding? So that was because he had poor nutrition, poor lighting growing up. So he should not be pyramided. He should be that just nice dome shape like Creed is. And those pyramids will never go away. But hopefully they won't get any worse. And you can also see the sulcatas have under their neck, they have two pieces of bone that stick out and protrude, and that's how they fight and compete with each other. So they will, if you're bored, look up turtle fighting, that's pretty interesting. They will fight and try to flip each other over, and they'll take that golden horn, and they will put it in between the head and the shoulder of another turtle and flip them and sometimes puncture them, and then eventually they'll bleed out. But you can see Thor's, his is curled up, facing up under his neck. And what's neat about turtles is, or tortoises with this horn, is it is also like a fingerprint, and no two are the same. They all look slightly different, so if you're ever needing to identify a tortoise, that's make sure that they have their tortoise, or if their tortoise got loose. If it is mine, you can look at their bulbar horn and find out if it's yours or not. So his is curled up, so he would be terrible trying to fight because he doesn't have anything to fight with. But if you check out Creed, hey buddy. Oh no, you're so tired. Oh, you will see his stick straight out. And then it'll just get larger and bigger as he ages.
Wow. Hi.
And you will hear, some of you may have just heard him sound like a hiss. So they actually don't hiss. When they get scared, they're pulling their arms, they're pulling all of their legs and their head back into their shell. And what did we say about their lungs? Yeah, so it is actually not a hiss, it's them going to get as much air out of their lungs as they're bringing their legs in.
Sharp exhale.
It is a sharp exhale. So you can, I did some more research because I was trying to figure out, could I make a larger enclosure and keep more of these tortoises together? The answer is yes, as long as you have the tortoises that have the right personality, who are okay with each other, and if you set up a lot of visual barriers, so some big logs in the enclosure where they can't see each other. So imagine this is a big log, and usually he and I fight, but there's this big log here. I can't see him. Not worried about it. So there is a world where you can have more of them together. You just want to make sure that you've got similar sizes together versus having a large one and a small one, because the big one's probably going to bully the littler one.
All right, well, it's 8:30, so we're gonna wrap up. I know if y'all want to,
If you have questions, yeah.